So, when you're learning through experience and making connections between different concepts, it can lead to a deeper understanding. While a structured curriculum provides foundational knowledge, branching out encourages critical thinking and creativity. By exploring how different ideas interrelate, you enhance problem-solving skills and develop a more holistic perspective. This self-directed approach may take longer, but it often results in a more profound mastery of the subject, fostering innovation and adaptability. Cultivating your own learning path can lead to greater insights and expertise. There were people like Isaac Newton back in the day. In today's world, many traditional colleges favor passive learning, which can be challenging for people like me, an active learner. I need to sit and engage in dialogue, discussing concepts and exploring connections, which enhances my understanding and retention. Many people learn best through dialogue and interaction, allowing for clarification and deeper exploration of ideas. You're not just passively absorbing things through rote memorization. My memory is really bad, so I can't do that. The lack of personalized guidance can certainly increase the risk of falling behind, particularly in challenging subjects. Tutoring today often comes at an additional cost and is seen as an extra resource rather than a standard part of education. In the past, Isaac Newton, for example, had tutors and mentors. Back then, mentorship and personal guidance were more integrated into academic environments. Today, schools do offer support services, but private tutoring has become a separate industry, which can make personalized learning more challenging depending on students' resources. While we're creating a more accessible world, under capitalism, access comes at a price, and that's the best system we have, or so they say. Like I said, Isaac Newton had tutors. Other great thinkers in history also had mentors. They didn't just sit in their rooms absorbing knowledge by themselves with a high IQ. For instance, Albert Einstein had mentors who encouraged his curiosity, including his mathematics teacher Hermann Minkowski, who helped shape Einstein's understanding of geometry. Einstein's strong background in geometry allowed him to develop the theory of general relativity. He used his understanding of non-Euclidean geometry, particularly the work of mathematicians like Bernhard Riemann, to conceptualize gravity not as a force but as a curvature of spacetime caused by mass. This is why geometry is so important, but so is calculus. Calculus is the next level. It allows us not only to visualize things but to see how these things change and grow over time. That's what general relativity is about, how things change over time. This geometric approach allowed Einstein to formulate equations describing how objects move within his curved spacetime, fundamentally changing our understanding of gravity and motion. His ability to visualize and manipulate geometric concepts was crucial to his breakthroughs. A lot of the time, when we come up with new ideas or figure out how to do things differently, this is why we use geometry, graphs, and visualizations, because they are the interface for math. Geometry is the interface for everything. Just look around you. Look at all the geometry. For example, if you look at a cube or a box, how do you know how much stuff to put in it? You measure the box, you measure the geometry. But if the box didn't exist, we wouldn't have anything to put in it. Do you see where I'm getting at? Geometry and visualization are essential tools for understanding and interacting with the world, yet we don't teach that properly in schools. We teach geometry as a separate field that no one cares about, and that's a huge mistake. This is why people are stupid. This is why I was stupid. I don't consider myself stupid anymore, but I was. When I came across geometry, it was like an explosion in my mind. Everything made sense. This is why I advocate for it. I want to go out on the street with picket signs saying, "Read geometry. Geometry will save the world." You know how they say Jesus is coming back? Well, geometry is coming back. Geometry is coming back. Geometry allows us to understand shapes, sizes, and spatial relationships, not just spatial relationships, but relationships in things that seem unrelated to space at first glance. In fields like data science, multidimensional data can be visualized through graphs or charts, allowing us to understand relationships that aren't inherently spatial. Ideas can be mapped visually, like in mind maps, where connections between concepts are represented spatially, helping to clarify complex relationships. Then you have network theory, where relationships and social networks or ecosystems are visualized as graphs illustrating connections and interactions, even when they don't have physical spatial attributes. Functions can be represented on a Cartesian plane, showing how changes in one variable relate to another, even if those variables are abstract. For example, in linear algebra, we talk about y equals mx plus b and how that relates to sine waves, pulse width modulation, voltages, and alternating currents. Calculus can be used to track changes and the trajectory of how far apart pulse width modulation and sine waves are. Using y equals mx plus b, which is algebra, brings all these elements together, and it makes sense. It's not just a jumble of numbers, letters, variables, and equal signs. It actually means something when you understand the language. This is what many educational systems fail to foster. In authoritarian countries, curriculums are often designed in a way to prevent students from making connections, suppressing insight and critical thinking in favor of rote memorization. The United States has also adopted such approaches for various reasons, mainly to produce workers rather than thinkers. They focus on a standardized set of knowledge that discourages independent thought or questioning. The idea of the chicken show is essentially a big rejection of these institutions. It says, no, we're here, and we're thinkers. We're going to think these things through. We won't just read a chapter of a book and think, okay, I can pass a test, without truly understanding. This lack of understanding is why people fail at math, because math is not about memorization, it's about problem solving, and many don't know how to approach it. That's why math is such a difficult subject for many of us. The countries that are the best at math will win. They will win the wars. The countries that excel in math and physics will literally win wars. Back during World War II, we broke the Enigma machine codes. We had entire departments dedicated to the mathematics needed to win the war. Alongside the massive manufacturing efforts, we used geometry and math to figure things out. Alan Turing, not Turin, that's the Shroud of Turin, invented a machine to break the Enigma code. This was one of the first conceptualizations of AI. During World War II, mathematics and physics were critical to military strategy and technological advancements. The breaking of the Enigma code by Turing and his team at Bletchley Park directly influenced the war effort. This is what a magician is, someone who studies math and geometry. The Wizards of Waverly Place, for example, is a parody of people like Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein. These scientists were like wizards, going to wizard schools to learn math. If you know math, it puts you in the top few percent of the population. Combine that with philosophy and human psychology, and you become unstoppable, a wizard or magician. Math, calculus, algebra, geometry, human psychology, philosophy, and theology are the pillars of Old World education. They drove the scientific revolution and won world wars, against Germany, no less. So, if anyone says otherwise, they don't know what they're talking about. If the Enigma machine required advanced mathematical techniques and logic to decipher encrypted messages, it showcased the importance of mathematical knowledge in intelligence operations. Turing's work laid the groundwork for modern computer science and artificial intelligence, as he conceptualized machines that could perform complex calculations and logic processing. The war spurred advancements in various technologies, from radar to aircraft design, all heavily relying on mathematical principles and engineering. Mathematical modeling and statistical analysis were used to optimize resource allocation strategies, impacting military outcomes. The emphasis on math and science has historically proven essential in achieving not just military success but also broader technological and societal advancements. It's a parallel. This is why you're a wizard. It's not just about winning wars or solving specific problems. You can solve problems literally across the universe. It's like the clockwork, mechanical presentation, or the theory of the universe that Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein brought together. We have all these theories, Galileo, and after him came others. After Galileo, there was Descartes, who contributed significantly to philosophy and mathematics, particularly through Cartesian coordinates. Then there was Isaac Newton, who made groundbreaking advancements in physics and mathematics. Around the same time, you had Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, who developed calculus independently of Newton and made substantial contributions to philosophy and mathematics. Leibniz was a fan of Newton, and together, these thinkers advanced our understanding of science and mathematics, laying the groundwork for modern physics and calculus. We need to look at that time in education. It was a prime period because it sparked the scientific revolution. We went from the Middle Ages to the scientific revolution, to the Industrial Revolution, to what we have today with technology. Specifically, at the time of Isaac Newton and Leibniz, the way education was set up fostered great minds like theirs. People like them were put on a pedestal. It reminds me of the times of Greek civilization, where we had priestesses and priests, the high priestesses of Delphi. These people were not just spiritual but also creative and abstract in their thinking. They were exemplified in society, and people went to them for inspiration and advice. They were revered. Similarly, during the scientific revolution, we fostered and supported great minds to flourish. But today, we don't do that, and we wonder why there are so many problems. Yeah, it's unfortunate that some people lean toward alien theories rather than recognizing human achievement. It reflects how misinformation and a lack of proper education can lead to people discounting the incredible accomplishments of scientists, engineers, and thinkers throughout history. When societies stop fostering critical thinking and scientific literacy, it leaves room for these kinds of ideas to flourish. It's a reminder of how important it is to invest in education that encourages people to understand and appreciate the power of human ingenuity. Figures like Newton were encouraged to explore and innovate, often supported by institutions that valued science and reason. It's important to note that Isaac Newton owned over 400 theology books, and his library was nearly as extensive as Cambridge's. He had around 2,000 books, many of which were theological. This highlights the connection between theology and our understanding of the world. Theology can be seen as an early form of geometry, psychology, and philosophy. We shouldn't overlook theology. It acts like a hub of human understanding, much like the Library of Alexandria. In ancient Greece, the Oracle of Delphi and philosophers like Socrates and Plato were revered for their insights, fostering a culture that valued wisdom and creativity. During Newton's time, there was a greater emphasis on mentorship and discussion, allowing thinkers to freely share ideas and challenge established norms. In contrast, today's educational system often prioritizes standardized testing and rote learning, which can stifle creativity and critical thinking. For example, if you have an idea related to electromagnetic gradients or other engineering concepts, you can look up patents to see if someone has already created something similar. Just because a product is on the market doesn't mean it's the best. Many great inventions are patented but not widely distributed. The marketing and feasibility of manufacturing are crucial. There are many brilliant minds out there whose ideas remain unrecognized. Returning to Isaac Newton, his extensive library and the theological works within it reflect a deep connection between science, philosophy, and theology. The four pillars of understanding, mathematics, geometry, psychology, and theology, form the foundation of human knowledge. Early theological concepts often employed geometrical and mathematical ideas to explain the divine and the structure of the universe. Mathematics and geometry serve as precise languages to describe natural phenomena, while theology uses metaphors and analogies to explore the divine and abstract concepts. Both approaches aim to enhance our understanding, mathematics through clarity and precision, and theology through imaginative and symbolic expression. Together, they enrich our exploration of profound questions about existence and reality. Additionally, there was a Russian mathematician, Grigory Perelman, who solved the Poincare conjecture and famously declined $1 million prize, stating he was not motivated by money or fame. His perspective resonates with great thinkers like Newton and Galileo, who sought to understand the universe's underlying principles. This highlights a theme in science and mathematics, or the pursuit of knowledge often drives individuals more than financial gain. Perelman's assertion about knowing how to control the universe speaks to the idea that with a greater understanding of interconnectedness, one can experience profound epiphanies about existence. Engaging deeply with mathematics and geometry can be almost addictive. It's like holding hands with God. This experience can feel spiritual, akin to the theological narratives of figures like Jesus. Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper employs geometry and perspective to convey deep messages. The integration of mathematical principles into theological narratives enhances their meaning. Mathematics and geometry represent the most objective language we can possess, transcending the complexities of translation found in spoken languages. This language is universal, helping us connect with eternal truths. Someone can look back on our civilization, and we have our equations and graphs that are straightforward and objective. This makes it much easier for a future civilization, thousands of years down the road, to pick up where we left off. Mathematics and geometry serve as a universal language that transcends cultural and temporal boundaries. For example, in the movie Mean Girls, Katie says something profound about her love for math. It's the same in every country. It's beautiful. This perspective emphasizes the significance of mathematics. Its truths remain consistent, regardless of language or cultural context, allowing reliable communication. This objectivity enables future civilizations to understand and build upon knowledge without the ambiguities of natural languages. Mathematical principles are eternal, they don't change over time. A future mathematician or scientist can pick up our equations and graphs and grasp the concepts as we intended, facilitating continuity in scientific progress. Mathematics provides a foundational framework for understanding natural laws, meaning that new discoveries can be articulated mathematically, promoting further exploration. As civilizations rise and fall, the mathematical knowledge left behind bridges future generations, allowing them to connect with past insights. In this sense, math can be seen as a language of the gods, embodying the objective truth of the universe and serving as a lasting testament to human inquiry. Understanding complex systems, like those described in general relativity, can invoke insights akin to spiritual experiences. The thrill of discovery in mathematics and science can be addictive, driving the human spirit to explore, much like the quest for spiritual enlightenment. The integration of mathematical and geometric principles into theological narratives can enhance their depth and meaning. Both art and science seek to explore and express the deeper truths of existence, and their intersections can lead to powerful insights about life, faith, and the universe. Science and art are not separate. Modern society has often segregated these realms. We've compartmentalized ourselves, but art studies the self and the collective unconscious, while science looks outward. Combining both allows us to engage profoundly with existence. I previously discussed schizophrenia and how it relates to abstract thinking. Symptoms of schizophrenia can also appear in people who are extremely stressed or sleep deprived, which has happened to me. When we examine the minds of those affected, we see that abstract thoughts are no longer integrated with concrete, tangible ideas. Instead, everything seems to float around, like opening a box to the abyss. Take The Cat in the Hat, a film filled with meaning that may have gone over many people's heads. The box in the story acts as a portal to chaos and destruction, leading to hallucinations. This state between wakefulness and sleep, known as hypnagogia, allows the internal world to project vividly. Extreme stress or lack of sleep disrupts the brain's ability to process information effectively, creating a chaotic mental landscape. Without REM sleep, essential for emotional regulation and memory processing, the mind struggles to make coherent connections, resulting in disarray and, in severe cases, hallucinations. Hypnagogia blurs the lines between reality and imagination, often leading to vivid sensory experiences. The Cat in the Hat encapsulates chaos and creativity, with the box symbolizing the release of turmoil from stress and disrupted sleep. These connections between mental states, creativity, and narrative structure can enrich our understanding of consciousness, prompting deeper reflection on reality, perception, and human experience. There's a fine line between madness and genius, often described as razor-thin. Everyone has their own strengths and, in my opinion, everyone is a genius. However, when dealing with the abstract and intangible, those in psychosis can become delusional. In our world, we view this as delusion, but in theirs, it may not be. As a result, we often medicate them. Even with people who have paranoid schizophrenia, one of the most severe mental illnesses, we know that medication helps. However, sleep, a healthy diet, and low stress are also essential. Some individuals with paranoid schizophrenia can thrive without medication, as long as their sleep is consistent and they maintain a healthy diet, live in low-stress environments, and have a support system. The world can make you feel crazy because your mind shows you the truth, but it may not align with reality if you aren't processing and integrating experiences properly through sleep. Sleep is crucial for mental health. It helps the brain process emotions and consolidate memories. A lack of sleep can worsen mental illness symptoms and impair cognitive function. I can reflect on times in my life, especially since my teenage years, when I was extremely stressed, lacked emotional support, and was treated as though I was crazy. I experienced insomnia, poor nutrition, and loneliness, which often led to paranoid delusions and hallucinations. During those times, I was either forced to take antipsychotics or conditioned to do so. I didn't know how to take care of myself, and the pressure to just get up and go to work, to not think or feel, severely affected my mental health. We shouldn't teach children to suppress their feelings or just go to work. This can be detrimental. Many people can't cope with this approach, and it can destroy them from the inside out. Some never recover from it. Asylums historically did more harm than good, and what people truly need is sleep, health, nutritious food, and a connection to nature. They need a framework, like math and geometry, to help understand the world around them and within themselves. Carl Jung exemplified the idea that religion and spirituality can be antidotes to mental illness because they make the abstract tangible. This connection helps people create something meaningful from their experiences. Geniuses often solve complex equations while appearing disheveled yet content. There is a razor-sharp line between genius and madness. The mind can reveal truths, albeit in distorted ways, during crises. This suggests that what we label as madness may sometimes be a response to overwhelming stimuli and stressors in the world. Our society functions as a system, but this does not nurture the mind, especially in a capitalistic world where family structures may degenerate. There's a song by The Agonist that resonates with these ideas. The lyrics convey feelings of confusion and the disconnect in our world, highlighting how nothing makes sense in a system that often prioritizes corporate greed. It's disheartening to hear calls to make asylums great again, because many people who ended up in asylums were just lost, having never been taught how to navigate life. Humans are social creatures, yet we live in an increasingly isolating world, leading to mental health crises. When you don't even know what's up or down, there's a song about that by The Agonist, one of my favorite bands. Their lyrics are amazing, so profound and deep. The song captures the essence of confusion. It talks about how the moon mocks you with a knowing grin, or whether you're face up or face down. It suggests that cardinal points are just semantics, and geometry is akin to religion in mathematics. This reflects what I've been saying: the world can drive you crazy. Nothing makes sense, and it often feels like it's all just to enrich some wealthy individuals, capitalism and corporate greed. It's really sad when people say we should make the asylums great again. That's a disturbing thing to say. Most people who ended up in asylums were simply lost. No one taught them how to live. Humans are designed to be social creatures, yet we live in an increasingly isolating world. It's no wonder that so many people struggle with their mental health. The idea of making asylums great again is truly heartbreaking.